Huh. Leaders are time travelers. We step into the future. We discover, we explore, we interact. I would say we even move from one dimension to the other, trying to find the future that we desire most, that we feel most called to. We take snapshots of this future, and then we bring them back to our teams. And we tell them, hey, if you sacrifice, if you labor, if you bleed with me, we could walk into the snapshot. I think about Martin Luther King when he gives a whole album of pictures at Washington, D.C. 2 kids, one black, one white, holding hands, playing in the schoolyard. I think about the president of World Vision who goes to Africa, sees this long line of kids waiting for food, and they run out, and he gives a snapshot to his team, to the richest men he knew, to say, one day we're going to have a line where the food doesn't run out and every kid goes home full. I wonder what are the snapshots you've taken of the future for your church, for your organization, and how have you hung them in front of your congregation? How have you hung them in front of the teams that you've led? But the most powerful snapshots we have are the ones that God hangs in front of us. And He's done that from the beginning of time. I think about Abraham looking at the stars, and God saying, hey, here's a snapshot of your family. You'll have descendants that outnumber the stars in the sky. He gives Moses a snapshot of Canaan. He gives Joseph a snapshot of his brothers and even his parents bowing before them. And then we're walking in Jesus' snapshot to his disciples, where he says to the ends of the earth, the gospel is going to spread, and here's Anaheim or Orange or wherever we're at with the 30 pastors that are in all these different cities that they didn't even know existed, but he had it up on a map with his disciples saying, there's going to be people here too, worshiping me, spreading my gospel, making disciples that make disciples that make disciples. So maybe more importantly is how you have time traveled with God. In that space between waking and dreaming, how has He teleported you into the future and shown you your calling and His dreams for you and His kingdom? I remember in 5th grade, I was daydreaming with all these, in like math class, everyone's thinking about being an architect or astronaut or policeman. And God gives me the snapshot. He says, it was just a simple picture of a sign that says, for imperfect people only, on the front door of a church. And every Sunday I walk in and I see that sign hanging off the door, and I knew that's a snapshot God's given me. I think the second thing we need, besides a snapshot of the future, is a vehicle. And when I think about the greatest movements and the greatest leaders, they always give their followers a vehicle in order to get to their future, in order to get to their snapshot. So Tom says, hey, we're going to put shoes on kids that have no shoes. How do you do that? What's your vehicle? Go buy a $50 shoe that's worth like, $3 in product, right? Or we think about invisible children back in the day. What was your vehicle? Go sleep on the roof of a parking lot. World Vision, what's your vehicle? Give $30 a month and hold this picture in your hand, and she'll also write you letters. I mean, these are vehicles that everyone gets to jump on board with. They know how to open the door and sit on the seat. So when you think about your snapshot of the future, does your congregation, does your team understand in a simplistic way the vehicle in which to arrive at the snapshot? The last thing I want to talk about is structure and culture. My perception or my idea of structure is that you set it up in order to create culture or to destroy culture. And that's the only reason in general why structure should be set up. So I want to set up structure that corrects a culture, or I want to set up a structure that creates a culture. So for example, for the church that we're trying to build, one of the structures I have is I want to see people build friendships. So when we first started the church, we do lots of events. We want people to get to know each other. And we have this model, this example for how we are approaching vision by doing life together. But my goal is in the structure to communicate vision and values so that one day the structure can be broken down and they will continue just to go on that path on their own. So now we plan almost 0 events when it comes to InReach, because on our Facebook page every week there's people hanging out all the time, right? Inviting other people to it. So now I get to break down structure. Another ways we did that was we gave people a huge intentionality. All my leaders were pretty much forced to meet people on Sundays, right? And their leaders were forced to meet people on Sundays or Wednesdays, and we're trying to build an environment of being welcoming. But after a while, that became part of our culture. So we took down the structure. I don't talk about it. We don't review on it. It's just part of who we are, and it's bled into the DNA of the church. And so for me, there's this snapshot that you're hanging. There's the vehicle that you're inviting everyone to step into. They understand how that vehicle gets to that future. There is the structure that you're putting around this vehicle to keep it aligned. But your goal at the end of the day is to take down the structure in order for everyone to feel like they're manning the vehicle and able to drive there themselves. They don't need strong, it's like taking off in bowling, taking off the bumpers, right? If people know how to throw the ball. All right, that's all I got. So, great landing. I'm good at landing planes.